Sergei Rachmaninov was the quintessential romantic Russian composer. Born in Novgorod in 1873, he died in Los Angeles in 1943. He led a wonderful career as pianist, composer, and he was a great conductor, something that we, in our day, tend to forget. He was a very puritanical pianist. He wasn't a slushy sentimentalizer at all, and we have to be quite guarded when we come to our music that we don't fall into the sentimentalizing kind of approach, because it is a trap in his music. We're going to look today at one of his finest preludes, the Prelude in G-sharp minor, which opens like this. And at the very outset, we come up against the fact that we need a huge amount of technical control over our fingerwork. What is required in Rachmaninoff is a huge degree of finger independence, which is one of the fundamental aspects, the fundamental aspect possibly, of piano technique. And I shall be discussing that in this section of this DVD where we shall deal with the physical conditioning that a pianist needs to undergo. But with the opening, we have fast repeated fifth finger notes. And that involves keeping your fingers very close to the keys. It also demands a fifth finger that works without being interrupted by involuntary movements from other fingers. So there are various ways in which you can practice that. I would suggest perhaps holding the three notes down, perhaps also putting two other fingers down and just repeating your fifth finger, maximizing the movement, giving it some exercise. And if you could play that pattern whilst holding down an E and an F, then you know you're starting to arrive. Chances are you will find that to hold two notes down like that and repeat that pattern will be extraordinarily difficult for you, but jolly good practice. Now there is a crescendo which comes out of nowhere at the beginning. Try not, I would suggest, to feel strong beats through that. We just need something to arrive and go away. And then in comes this wonderful melody. It's one of the great characteristics, I think, of Rachmaninoff's music, that at times it sounds as if different pianists are playing the same piano. We've got this incredibly soft right hand by the time we arrive at bar 3, because what it doesn't need to do is to interfere with the left hand wonderful sonorous melody. So this has got to be played absolutely in the background. What is, to me, incredibly interesting about the first 6 bars of this piece are the number of alterations that the composer asks us to make in our tempo. He says in the 3rd bar that we must do a ritenuto or ritardando into meno mosso, which means less movement, which is slower. When a composer puts rit, he means get slower big time, because if he just means get a little bit slower, generally composers use poco rit for that. So when we see a rit, we must really slow down. Meno mosso means slower. In other words, a new tempo. So we come into this fast, allegro, fast and lively. We're traveling. Slowly. And then we're asked to do something which none of us really like to do. We are asked to get faster and get softer, accelerando e diminuendo. If we ask a pianist perhaps to get louder, the chances are he's going to get faster. If we ask him to get faster, he's going to get louder. You ask a pianist to get slower, he gets softer. Ask him to get softer, 9 times out of 10 he's going to get slower. When we're asked to get faster and softer, we're in trouble. Rachmaninoff frequently makes that requirement from his performers. It's very difficult to do, it goes against the grain. And look at the left hand here. What we have there is multiple voicing considerations. We have to bring out the melody which is in the upper part of the left hand in the thumb, Even there, the B with the thumb has to be played twice as loud, perhaps, as the lower note, the D sharp. And the D sharp down here is just a little bit of colouring. What we don't want is... we need... magic. So we're accelerando, back to original speed, a tempo. Hear that ugly sound for a moment, the E natural against D sharp in the right hand, a real discord. And he holds us there until the discord is resolved in this area as we pick up back to speed. When we get into a tempo at the bottom of the page, there, boy, do we need to count. If one of the greatest pianists of the 20th century, in his incredible recording, can miss out a whole beat here, so can you, so can I. We need to count. It's bar 8. When we go to the top G sharp, we arrive on the third beat. So it's 3, lift the pedal up on 4 for the left hand rest, and then count 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, when the left hand melody comes in again, how does it come in? Not mezzo forte as the first time, now it's forte. This is passion. And instead of going down, he goes higher. The emotion is reinforced. Ritenuto, voicing, and I just love to bring that little bit of descent through in the right hand at the top of the second page there. And as we move into the second page of this piece, the left hand melody predominates for a whole number of bars. Part writing. Here we have a tenor part, that's an upper part in the left hand, with an answering bass, pure accompaniment, melody in the tenor, answer bass, and then a diminuendo in the tenor, like a false diminuendo, answered by the bass, and that last note, the F double sharp, I like to take in the right hand, and then come the beginning of the next section, or the end of the present one, at the beginning of the third line, bring out the last note of the melody in the right hand thumb. Possibly the hardest part of the piece. Be sure to get your thumb in position on the first of the left hand semiquavers before you strike it. Do not hit it as you get there. Do not hit it in transit. Arrive over it, prepare the first 3 notes, and just jump down for that bottom one and coordinate properly with the right hand. This note, that bass note at the end of the 4th line, second page, makes a wonderful bass note for the beginning of the following line if you can catch it in the pedal. Another thing that you could perhaps do here, because to do 5-4 as a chord, down to 2, back to 5-4 and down to 1, is very, very difficult. What you could do is to hold down the F with your third finger, hold down the D sharp and the A sharp as well, and try repeating the A sharp and the F double sharp like that, lifting your fingers high, perhaps until they get a little tired. Don't go through pain barriers, because as soon as you start to do that, you're going to cause yourself injury. So there are a few thoughts on how you can practice that passage. But whatever happens, it's got to arrive, and then off. So we hear. Can you hear the left hand phrasing? Rachmaninoff's been very careful to slow those notes in pairs. This is so fast, this piece, that the only way you will get those notes heard in pairs is to play the second one of each pair staccato. So you hear the silence between the pairs of notes. And here, give that a lot of practice on its own. And don't try to go too fast, because, you know, sometimes if we play fast music a little slower so that every note is heard, it actually sounds much faster for that. And people have a great deal of trouble here because we've got a group of 6 notes in the left hand to be timed against a group of 7 notes in the right. How do we approach it? We have a game plan. Make the last 3 initially happen together. So don't worry too much about what happens there, just get these together and that note there together, and later, when you become expert at that, you can tweak it. It's got to vanish at the end. Don't use too much pedal. If it's absolutely pristine and clear, it'll sound wonderful.